If you would like to hear about my personal journey from ill health to wellness, completely naturally, of course, you clicked on the right video. Hi there, I'm Dr. Cori Stern, and welcome to my channel, Take Control of Your Health. If you have been watching and haven't had a chance yet to hit the subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate if you would do that now, because that is my reward for doing these videos. And if you like the content, please don't forget to hit the like button at the end so that more people can find it. And last and most importantly, if you think that you know somebody that would benefit from the information that I'm sharing, please share it with them. So I want to tell you my story because so many people ask me about it, and I realize that I'm putting out a lot of information about health, but I really don't talk that much about my own health and how I got to where I am today. And make sure you stay till the end, because I am going to share my 4 favorite products that I feel like I can't live without. So let me start my story. It should start before birth, when I was still in my mother's uterus, because my parents ate mostly poison. And so therefore I was being poisoned, and I know that they didn't realize they were doing this because they were being poisoned by their parents. So my going back 2 generations, I'm 3rd generation born in the United States. My family ate processed food, garbage food, junk food, fast food, and really not much of what I call real food, which I will define for you a little bit later. So I was born not healthy, and I constantly had infections as a young child. I was always on antibiotics. I had ear infections and throat infections and bladder infections. And I was being exposed to cigarette smoke all the time. Both of my parents and all their friends smoked, and they would smoke in the car with the windows up. I was literally, I guess you could say I was smoking myself. I mean, my mother smoked the entire pregnancy. And my parents smoked both cigarettes and marijuana. So I was being exposed to all of that. And I was also being fed stuff that you can't define as food. So I'll give you my typical diet. Well, first of all, I was formula fed, and the formula was just made out of, disgusting things like soy and commercial bad inflammatory oil. Infant formula is still made out of that stuff today. It's really not nutritious or healthy for babies. There's very few, almost no formulas out there that are really clean. And that's a whole other topic. And I do have a video called Is Milk Good for You, where we mention that, and a link to a recipe to make your own formula. But I digress. So I was raised on garbage infant formula. And then I remember still being given a bottle and having soda, Pepsi in it. So I can't even tell you, when I was, I guess, a baby before I could chew, I was being given those jarred foods, which were highly processed. And then when I was old enough, I was eating sugary cereal for breakfast, and I would have Skippy peanut butter and Welch's grape jelly on white Wonder bread for lunch, with some kind of garbage dessert in my lunchbox when I went to school. And if those of you who grew up in the US and are old enough to remember yodels and ringdings, which are fake chocolate frosting over fake chocolate cake with fake cream in the middle. And then I would have a can of juice, some kind of fruit juice in a can. And then I would come home from school and have more sugary snacks, cookies or candy and soda. And then for dinner, very often we would have fast food. We would have McDonald's or pizza or Kentucky Fried Chicken. And then I would have dessert, more sweets. So I ate this way my entire childhood. And by the time I was 15, I had a chronic infection in my throat, which was diagnosed by the medical doctor as strep throat, which is a bacterial infection. So I was put on antibiotics and they didn't help me. I was feeling really bad. And then I went back to that same doctor and they gave me different antibiotics and they didn't help me. I was feeling terrible. It was the summertime and I was a teenager and I was so sick. I was stuck in bed. I was getting really upset. I went back to that same doctor a third time, got put on a third antibiotic, didn't help me. So after that, I decided by myself when I was 15 that it seemed to me that medical doctors didn't know how to help people with their health. And I just decided I was going to figure it out myself. And I started to do some reading. I was stuck in bed and there's not much else for me to do. I didn't even have a TV in my bedroom. So I was doing reading and I came across a magazine that my parents subscribed to called Prevention. And this was a alternative health magazine that was popular back then. This was in the mid 1970s. And I wonder why my parents had that magazine in their house, because I don't think they actually read it or followed anything that it said. But anyway, I read that magazine, and for the very first time in my life, I understood that there was a connection between what you eat and your health. And then I understood why I was sick and I couldn't get better. So I decided I was going to change my diet on my own. When I was 15, I was working as a babysitter and I was making $1 an hour, which was decent money back then. And I went to my local health food store. There was only one health food store in the neighborhood. I lived in Manhattan. And I started to buy my own food, my version of food that was healthy, actual real food. And I also found a book in the health food store called Back to Eden, which is what I call an herbal Bible. It was written in the 1920s and it had every single herb on the planet Earth, and it's a description of its therapeutic benefit. And I started buying herbs and making concoctions in my bedroom. And between cleaning up my diet, I eliminated sugar and white flour and preservatives. I pretty much stopped eating processed food and I started taking some herbs. I actually cured myself. So that started me on a journey, being interested in what I call natural health, using things that are on the planet that are there for us to keep ourselves healthy. And I was very fascinated by this concept. I didn't immediately go to school to become a healthcare practitioner. At the time, at age 15, I was very intimidated by math and science and didn't think I would be able to get through a program where I could become some kind of healthcare provider. So instead, I decided to become a social worker. And I specialized in helping families with chronically ill children or children with disabilities. These children were very fragile, medically fragile, and they would have been hospitalized or institutionalized without the services we were providing, which was basically to help the family have everything they need in order to be able to take care of the child at home. And it was very rewarding, and I really enjoyed it, and I helped a lot of people. But on my 32nd birthday, I woke up and I said, you know what, I'm supposed to be doing something else. I need to I need to help people in a bigger way than this. And that day I went to my chiropractor for an adjustment. And while I was lying on the table and he was working on me, I just started looking around the room and I said, out of nowhere, I said to him, "Do you think I could do this, be a chiropractor like you?" And he said, "Well, I don't see why not. You're smarter than me and I'm doing it." And I was like, okay. And I actually just went right back to my computer and I found the closest chiropractic school and I applied just like that. So that was what started me on my career. It took me 6 years of pre-med sciences and then 4 years of total of 6 years, 2 years of pre-med sciences and 4 years of chiropractic school to actually graduate and start my own business. Now, in the interim, what's very interesting is that I gave birth to a child with a rare genetic disorder. That was at age 23. And my son needed a lot of reconstructive plastic surgeries. The genetic disorder that he had caused what we call premature fusing of bones. So while I was pregnant with him, bones that were not supposed to be fused. So his fingers were fused at birth, his toes, and his skull. You know how babies are born with a soft spot here, and that's to allow their skull to expand as their brain grows. But his skull was already prematurely fused, so he didn't have a soft spot. So he needed surgery to open up his cranium to make room for his brain to grow. And then he needed surgery to separate his fingers, and those surgeries had to be done basically one finger at a time. So he ended up having 18 major surgeries, and you can imagine that that was a lot for me to experience. So while I was going through all that, it was very stressful. I would be in the hospital with him all the time. I would never leave his side. And while I was in the hospital with him, I would be so worried and so nervous that I would lose my appetite. I wouldn't eat sometimes for days. Some hospitalizations were 2 weeks long and I wouldn't eat. And then once I was sure he was fine and we were going home, I would feel starving, obviously, because I hadn't eaten in days or weeks. So I would get home and I would just start stuffing my face. I would lose control of myself. So even though I knew better, I would eat things that weren't good for me. You know, I would eat a whole pizza and a box of cookies. I would just be putting whatever was in front of me in my mouth. So this was going on for a while because he was in and out of the hospital so much and for so many years. Now, by the time I went to chiropractic school, I wasn't feeling well again. And I had pain. I had developed pain in my groin area, which I actually thought was my ovary. So I went to a gynecologist, the woman that, she was my obstetrician when I gave birth. And she told me I had a cyst on my ovary. And she put me on birth control pills to shrink the cyst. And I really didn't want to take them and I didn't feel well on them, but I did it anyway. And then I went back for a follow-up. And she said, okay, that was effective. The cyst is now gone. And I said, yeah, but I still have the pain. And she said, oh, well, I don't know what's wrong then. So I left there and the pain continued. It actually got worse. It spread down my leg into my foot. I thought maybe my foot was causing the problem. So I went to a podiatrist, foot doctor, and he examined my foot and he told me, okay, I think I know what's going on here. You have something called plantar fasciitis, which is inflammation of the tissue in the arch of your foot. So he wanted to give me a steroid injection, which I declined, but he made me orthotics, inserts for my shoes, and he did some ultrasound treatments on my foot, which I did not like. And I did followed his instructions, but it didn't help me. I was still in pain. And now time was passing, maybe a year had passed with this pain, and it was just getting worse. It actually spread up into my low back and down my other leg. And I thought maybe it was my back causing the whole thing. So my son's physical therapist, who was coming to the house weekly to give him physical therapy, I asked him, I said, do you think you can evaluate me? I'm having a lot of pain in my back and my legs and my feet. He said, sure. And he did an evaluation and he said, I think I know what the problem is. He said, your butt muscles are very weak. He said, that's why your butt is flat. And I was like, wait, what? But anyway, I'd never quite noticed that, but he was right. So he gave me some exercises to do and I did everything he said. And I developed buns of steel, I'm happy to report. However, I was still in pain. Didn't help. Now the pain started spreading up my back into my neck. I was getting headaches. I was sleeping poorly. And then I started to get chronic infections again. I started getting chronic urinary tract infections, vaginal yeast infections, and I started getting strep throat again. Every 60 days, I had strep throat. And I could not figure out what I was doing wrong, what was going on. It was ruining my life. I actually decided to try going to a medical doctor, and he tested me for Lyme disease and rheumatoid arthritis and lupus, and he sent me for a CAT scan of all my internal organs. And when the test results came back, he gave me the good news. He said, there's nothing wrong with you. And then he wrote me a prescription for a psychiatrist. So I went because I didn't know what else to do. And the psychiatrist evaluated me and he said, I think I see what's going on. He said, you have post-traumatic stress disorder from dealing with all of your son's surgeries. So he wrote me a prescription for a muscle relaxant and also something to calm my nerves, anti-anxiety drug, and a sleeping pill and an antidepressant, even though I wasn't really depressed. And I did everything he said. And within 2 weeks, I felt like a zombie. I couldn't function. I couldn't think. I was just having trouble talking. And I also developed severe sugar cravings. So I was I was just stuffing my face with sugary snacks, and I actually gained like 7 pounds in those 2 weeks. And, I didn't feel any better for sure. I didn't feel any better at all. So I just stopped everything. I stopped all the medications. And I thought, maybe I just have to live with this. I don't know what else to do. I couldn't figure it out. And then when I went to chiropractic school, I think it was the very first day of chiropractic school, one of my teachers was talking about a condition that he called fibromyalgia. And this is something I'd never heard of. This was in the mid 90s. So I ran up to him after class and I said, I have all the symptoms that you just described: pain all over my body, poor sleep, infections that nobody can figure out what was going on. And he did a quick exam and he said, yep, I think you're right. I think you do have fibromyalgia. And I said, yes, finally, I have a diagnosis. Now I know what's wrong. Now what do I do about it? And he said, we don't know. We don't know what causes it, and we don't know what to do about it. There's no treatment. There's no effective treatment or cure. And I said, oh no. And he said, well, you could try exercising. And I was already doing that. He said, well, you can try magnesium. I said, okay. And I started taking magnesium. Nothing, no improvement. So I went to school feeling terrible. And I opened up my office when I graduated, and I was seeing a lot of patients who had similar issues to me. And I was struggling to help them as much as I was struggling to help myself. And then one day I went to a seminar on nutrition, sponsored by my favorite nutrition supplement company, which it always sounds like I'm doing a commercial for them, but it's just because I love them so much. And the company is called Standard Process, and they're the oldest nutritional supplement company in the United States. They're over 90 years old. And family-owned business. They grow a lot of their own ingredients on their own farm. So I went to this seminar. I just needed credits, but because it was about nutrition, I was really interested in it. And that's when I had the aha experience where I realized that nutritional supplements needed to be made out of food, because otherwise they're not biologically compatible with your body. If they're made in a lab out of synthetic ingredients and the doses are higher than anything you find in nature, your body cannot really utilize them. You're actually sometimes doing more harm than good. And I didn't learn that until that moment. I didn't understand that concept. I also learned a lot about what real food is during that seminar. And my definition now of real food is things that grow on the ground, grow in a tree, or have a mother, and are minimally processed. So things that grow on the ground, fruits and vegetables, you can say grains as well, things that grow in a tree, fruits and nuts, things that have a mother, any kind of meat, fish, even dairy. And minimally processed means that you don't alter it. You don't change its nature. So even grains that grow on the ground, if you mill them into flour, you strip away their nutrients, you add chemicals to them, then they're not food anymore. And if you take milk from an animal and you pasteurize it and heat it to a very high temperature, now you've altered it, you've denatured the proteins in it, and it's not food anymore. So I understood the principle of whole food, whole nutrient dense food, grown cleanly, grown without chemicals, and I completely altered the way I was eating. I just changed my diet, 100% changed my diet, only ate foods like that, which I was not doing before. I didn't learn that when I was 15. And I started taking supplements made out of whole foods. And it was a little bit of a process. I would say it took me it took me 2 weeks to start to notice a change. I actually had a reduction in my pain. And then it took me about a total of 2 years to be able to say that I was well. All my infections stopped. The pain slowly dissipated. And I had to do a lot of things. I had 16 mercury amalgams in my teeth because, by the way, growing up on sugar, my teeth were rotted. They're fine now, luckily. I've really improved the health of my teeth using this system, these whole food supplements. But I had to get all my amalgams removed because they were poisoning me. Because when you have mercury in your mouth, anytime you drink anything hot or chew, the mercury is released as a gas into your body and poisons you. Mercury is extremely toxic. And I got them removed safely. So please watch my video where I interview a holistic dentist and we talk about that. I had to do a lot of detoxing. I was very toxic from all the years of being exposed to cigarette smoke and eating chemicals in my food. So detoxing was key. And then basically I just had to rebuild my body. So the concept here is that your body is made out of cells and your cells are always dying. And the reason you're not dead is because your body is regenerating them. You're growing new cells all the time, every minute of your life. And where do you get the material that you need to grow the new cells? And that's from food. So if you're putting the good material into your body, you're going to grow good cells and you'll be healthy. But if you're putting bad material in, if you're putting garbage in, you're going to grow garbage cells, and one or more of your body systems is not going to work properly. And when that happens, you end up having symptoms. And the symptoms can be anything. It could be headaches, it can be pain, it can be diabetes, it can be heart issues, it can be low energy, it can be digestive problems. Any symptom can be caused by having unhealthy cells. So the solution is to correct nutritional deficiencies in your body with clean food and whole food supplements, and grow back your body, grow new organs that are actually working. So I'm going to be 60 soon at the recording of this video, and I am healthier now than when I was 50 and 40 and definitely 30. And even though I still lead what I would call a stressful life, a demanding life, I'm running my own business. I still have my son living with me and working with me, and I have to do a lot more for him than you would have to do for your average 36-year-old. And I have 2 dogs. And right now I am a single mom. I'm a widow. My husband passed away earlier this year. So I'm running a small business, seeing a lot of patients and trying to help them get well. I am running my household and taking care of everybody in it. And I do these videos as often as I can. I try to appear on other people's shows. And I also teach other practitioners how to do what I do, how to help people get healthy using whole food nutrition. So it is a demanding life, and I'm telling you, I could not do it if I wasn't eating properly and taking my whole food supplements. I've experimented with trying to not take them, and I definitely know that they're helping me to have as much energy as I need to be able to meet the demands of my life and maybe, the stress levels that I deal with. I do want to say that I work really hard also at perceiving stress differently so that it doesn't end up affecting me negatively. And I think that's a very important part of being healthy. And I do have quite a few videos on that topic, how to handle stress so that it doesn't make you sick. And I will put a link to those videos in the description of this one. Now, I said I was going to share my top products that I feel like I can't live without. And I want to tell you, full disclosure, I take a lot of stuff. And you know what? I am perfectly happy to do that, because at almost 60, I almost never need reading glasses. My teeth are perfect. I love my full shiny hair. I hardly have any wrinkles. Not trying to brag, and I feel well. And I'll do whatever it takes to continue feeling this way. I'm excited to see what I look and feel like at 70, and I'll do another video on before my 70th birthday, and we can compare. So here are my top favorite products. I'm going to screen share. Just give me a second here. And okay, so oops. Sorry, I'm not good at technology. All right, here we go, I think. All right, my computer is not cooperating, so I am going to abort this procedure and try it again in a little bit. I don't want to ruin the whole video. Am I still here? Can you see me now? All right, stop share. Let's try that again. Sorry, folks. Please bear with me. Try again. Okay. I was having some problems with my computer before I started this video. So let me just say also, while I'm trying to bring this up, that I also want to let you know that I can help you to find the kind of food that we were just talking about. Okay, I lost my video for a minute and I thought I was going to have the whole thing gone. But what I was saying is I can help connect you to a small scale family farm that grows nutrient dense foods. I'm going to put a link in the description of my video. And shoot, I can't share. My computer won't let me screen share. That is so strange. Okay, let me just try it a different way. Nope. All right. So I will verbally tell you about these 4 products, and then I will put links to them in the description of the video. So the first one that I want to talk to you about is called black currant seed oil. And black currant seed oil is a supplement. It's an essential fatty acid that helps with your skin. So it's one of my favorite ones because I feel like that's one of the reasons that my skin has stayed nice. And it also helps with the liver, and the liver has a lot to do with your skin. It's also good, and I'm not encouraging you to use it for this, but if you drink too much alcohol, it helps with hangover symptoms because part of that has to do with your liver processing the alcohol. And I take a lot of black currant seed oil, and that is a standard process supplement. And like I said, I'll put a link to it on the description of this video. Also, you can always reach out to me on my email at questions@drcori.com, drcori.com. So I know some people struggle to even find the description of the video or find the link. So you can always reach out via email if you need help with that. The next supplement that I want to talk about is called Minchex. And Minchex is a mineral to help your body handle stress better. And seriously, I don't think I could live without it. I affectionately refer to it as chill checks. I might have mentioned it frequently on other videos because I just love it so much. But when you're really struggling with stress, when you're having food cravings due to stress, when you're feeling anxiety or nervousness, or if you're suffering from grief, if you've had a loss, and that loss could be the loss of a person, the loss of a job, any kind of loss. I feel like right now the world is suffering from a loss of what life used to be like. Minchex comes to the rescue. It also improves the quality of your sleep. So I take it every day. I put a lot of my patients on it, and we have an open bottle in my office if anybody needs it. Just throw a capsule into their mouth. The next product that I want to talk about is not from Standard Process. It's a probiotic called Rest Easy. It is what we call a soil-based probiotic. So that's where the good bacteria, the good critters that belong in your gut come from the soil. So the soil is a good place to replenish the good stuff in your gut. And this is a liquid. There's also turmeric in it, so it's anti-inflammatory. And it's called Rest Easy because I would say I did start to have improved sleep when I started taking it. So I just take a tablespoon at night, and it also improves the quality of my bowel movement. And I wasn't having a problem with that before I started taking it, but it actually got better nonetheless. And the last product I wanted to talk about, and this is for women of a certain age, like in my age group, postmenopausal women, but men don't click off yet, because if you have a woman in your life in that age group, you might want to get this for her as a gift. And it is something called Julva. It's a cream that you apply topically, and it's wonderful for vaginal dryness, for restoring the integrity of vaginal tissue in postmenopausal women. It also increases your sex drive. And for some women, it helps with bladder continence. So if you're having that, that leakage, or you sneeze and pee comes out, things like that, this may help you. So I'm going to have a link to all of those products in the description of this video. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulties, but thank you if you made it this far. Thank you for sticking it out. Really appreciate it. And you know what? I'd love to hear from you and hear about your own health journeys. And if you need help on your health journey, I'm here to help. I do consults, and you can reach out to me on my website, drcori.com. Click on virtual, ask for virtual consult. There's a link to that in the description of this video as well. And thank you so much for listening to my story. And I will be back again with you in the near future to talk to you about more important health topics. And until then, please stay well.